Welcome today to our new video series on thriving through conflict. Today Jess is going to take us through the slippery slope of conflict, which is going to give us a bit of a definition and also how conflict works.
So Ben, can you tell me what comes to your mind when you think of the word conflict?
Explosions.
Explosions.
Landmines.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people don't like the idea of conflict when I first think of it, but then actually conflict's been something really healthy for me to actually process and move through. It can be really great. It actually strengthens a relationship, but just the idea of it gives me a bit of a shiver. But as I've got older and got better at it, that's actually a really powerful and helpful thing.
That's really good. Yeah, like conflict comes to mind and you think, oh my gosh, fighting and quarrels and like explosion's a big one, but it happens.
Yeah. And
and then sometimes you think conflict, oh gosh, I don't want to have to deal with that. I just want everything to be smooth and roses and puppy dogs and rainbows, all of those sort of things. So we're going to have a little bit of a look at what is actually conflict, because we've all experienced it, and some of us do really like it and seek it, not always in a healthy way, but some of us as well, you know, for most of us, I think that confrontation is a bit difficult. So what is conflict? Conflict results from differences in needs, motives and values, as well as from unmet needs. I'll say that again. Conflict results from differences in needs, motives and values, as well as from unmet needs.
And I just thought it was my wife, kids and staff being wrong. I thought that's what conflict was about.
You're right, I'm wrong. No, wait, you're wrong, I'm right. And you know what? Things like stress and tiredness can make it worse as well and contribute to it. Or, hey, we all know that feeling of being hangry, right? So there's a lot of things that can contribute to conflict. But there's also, I don't know if you know this, Ben, but there's actually a bit of a different number of levels of conflict as well that you can essentially slide down.
Wow, okay.
So let me show you something I prepared earlier. So welcome to my slippery slope of conflict. Have you heard of it before, Ben?
No, I actually hadn't heard of it before today, so I'm really interested in how this works.
Well, this is a little bit of a picture of how we can escalate into conflict. So up the top here we have discomfort. So that's just that feeling of something's not right. We feel it, but it's not big, we don't talk about it, we don't deal with it. It doesn't necessarily involve the other person yet. Then an incident might happen. Something has happened to upset us, but again, we think, okay, it's not a big deal, or we decide, no, don't want to deal with it, not going to talk to the person about it, but something has happened to upset us. Misunderstanding comes in when we miscommunicate, or we make assumptions about the other person, or we don't clarify. We might misinterpret someone's motivation. So, oh my gosh, why are you looking at me like that? You must think I'm an idiot. I'm assuming things and I'm interpreting your motivation.
I may do that occasionally.
No, really, I don't do that at all. I'm perfect. So that can happen, and that's also, you know, sometimes we can start to talk to other people about things like, this person must think this, or they did this and this is why they did it. Gossip can start to come in because we're not actually talking about it. We're misunderstanding, we're miscommunicating, we're just assuming, and assuming never gets us anywhere. So, and then this is when tension starts to build in a relationship. Now that might be a personal relationship, it could be a work relationship. Negative attitudes start to come in, fixed opinions, because we're building up this resentment. Something's upset us, we've misinterpreted something, we haven't dealt with it, so tension's building and there's a strain on the relationship. And then, like you said at the start, explosion time, crisis mode. Now that can look like, you know, someone ups and quits a job. The breakdown of a relationship. It could look like the way that we're fighting, so that yelling and name calling and that real sort of fighting. So crisis mode. Poor little frazzled Frank over here.
Frazzled Frank.
Yeah.
So this is me yelling nasty things at my wife, storming downstairs, jumping in my car, slamming the door.
Out the door. Yeah. Pretty much.
Unfortunately, I know this reasonably well.
I think most of us do. Most of us know crisis really well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So there is a build-up, and this is the thing, this doesn't usually just happen.
Yeah.
As you can see, when we don't communicate about things or we misinterpret, it just a slippery slope, basically. I call it the slippery slope, and we don't want to get to this point. So
no, I love I'm a really visual learner, but I really appreciate that there's depths of conflict.
Yeah.
You know, start with that discomfort, that little feeling, then you go to an incident which heightens it, but misunderstanding, staying in that space and getting a little bit more than the tension that you feel rising. So there's opportunities at all these spaces to actually deal with the conflict before you get to crisis. And while I know that in my head, I think seeing it on the board like this is really helpful for me to process how conflict does develop.
Yeah.
And the slippery slope that it is.
Because none of us want to end up like frazzled Frank, do we?
No.
So now that we've had a look at what is conflict and how it can escalate, over the next couple of episodes, we're going to be taking a look at the different styles of conflict. So thinking fight, flight, and flow. If you don't know what those are, that's exactly what we're going to go into, as well as some different management styles around conflict as well, healthy and unhealthy ways of dealing with conflict.